and it says it's recording.
And be asked to enter.
Oh. Super. Ooh, what a pretty picture.
Thank you.
Wow. What's that of?
It was out a window of my house looking like early in the morning, like maybe 4 o'clock when the sun
Oh, I
was
never
up.
see those.
No,
That's gorgeous.
regretfully, I do see them.
Oh, that's, well,
I mean, regretfully, I'm not up that early, but yeah.
yeah. I see some sunsets, but not so much the sunrises.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It just caught my eye. So
Good, good. So how are you doing on your project?
I'm doing fine. I messed up with I think it was the witch's broom, but I left it because no one's gonna notice but me.
Okay.
And then on section 4, patent section 4, color A, you're supposed to have 11 stitches between each marker. And then I ended up with 4 extra stitches. So I counted them and I have 165 stitches. Is that what I'm supposed to have?
Oh, let me see. What did they say? Did they give you a stitch count at the end there?
No.
Well, that's kind of rude, isn't it? Was there a stitch count at the end of number 3?
Don't remember.
I did the math. You're supposed to have 154 stitches.
Well, that's not what I have. I have 15 sets of 11. Plus I had 4 more stitches, and when I knit those two together, it was the 15 times 11 plus 2.
Okay, so how far into that section are you?
I just did the first color and I says, I'm stopping here because if I screwed up, I have to take everything out.
Okay, good plan. Good plan. I'm backing up tonight. I'll show you why I'm backing up in a little bit.
All right.
All right, so hold it up so we can see the colors. Oh, wow.
It reminded me of a watermelon.
I was at the shop today and one of the girls said that you'd been in and said it looked like a watermelon.
It does look like a
Neat.
watermelon.
Very neat. Barbara, how you doing?
Okay. Yeah, that's as much as I got done. Not all of it yet, but.
All right, that's all right. This isn't a race. Did you?
No, but I got a question for you.
Sure.
On the one where we have to add those loops in it, it says you knit 3 and then you start doing the flower stitches, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes to knit 1. Do you knit 3 in between or 1 in between each group of flowers?
Waiting room. Admit. Hold on. I'm pulling people in here.
Okay.
Susan, did you get in there? Where's Susan? All right, she's muted. So let me go back and peek at that pattern.
Number 4 on page 4.
Page 4 of clue 2 or clue 1? Clue 1, right?
Yeah, clue 1.
Yeah. All right. We had a bunch of new people in the shop buying yarn today, so I was hoping to see a few new faces here. Lois was there, so I'm expecting her to jump in. Page 4, the umbrellas, the set of knit 3. Yep. 3 rows, then knit 1, then knit 3 in the same and knit 1. So there's 4 stitches technically in between each of those umbrella things.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good reading.
Okay.
Oh, Lois. There's Lois. Hey, Lois. Where'd you go? Lois. Anybody there? All right, so we had fun at the shop today. We had a really good weaving class. The girls did good. It was a beautiful day out there. It's just ideal. So,
And you got your chocolate, right?
yes, thank you. I run on chocolate. There's no secret there. Oh, so did anybody go back and look at the blog section of the Craftworks website to see the video from last
I
week?
did. I missed last week.
Ah, so was that helpful going through that?
It was, yeah.
Okay. That's what I hope to help accomplish tonight, is to anticipate some things that might cause little slip ups or trip ups or questions, and see if we can make that easier for all of you.
Good.
Yeah. So, all right. Those of you who are here, how are you keeping track of your rows? We'll start with Anne. How are you keeping track of your rows?
I have a row counter.
Okay,
A
good.
little,
Gadget.
that works for me, yeah.
Good, good. Does it sit on the needles, or is it just?
No, it's off to it's just one of those little cheap ones, but
Okay.
it works.
Yeah, you're disciplined to use it, and every time you go around.
Right.
Good. Barbara, how are you keeping track of the rows?
I actually do it on paper and I make a list of the numbers of the rows and I check them off as I do them.
Good
That's
girl.
the easiest way I find.
Okay, everybody's got their comfort way to do it, and if it's working, don't change it.
Yep.
Now, Barbara, are you going to do the tube, or are you doing the sculpty one?
If I want to do the tube, does that mean I don't enlarge the rows?
You don't
that
do
it?
decreases, because we're starting at the
decreases.
widest part, and the first time you come into that is on clue 1, page 5.
Yeah.
Middle of the page, it's pattern section 3.14. If you're doing the decrease round, and then there's down below, it says, for those not working the decrease rounds, just knit for 3 rows. So that's the point where you have to decide whether you're going to do a sculpted thing or tubular.
Maybe I'm going to do the sculpted thing.
Okay.
I think that'll be prettier.
All right. Super. How
I
about
may be
you?
coming in to see Andy a few times this week.
Anne, which one are you going to do?
I did the decrease. I just figured I'd follow the pattern the way it's supposed to be.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm doing a tube. Lois, you're muted there.
Yeah, I'm doing the tube, and I completely missed that I need those 3 rounds with color C.
Okay.
So I cut color D, and then I moved on to section 4.
There's
Realized, oh, I need to cut C because it's getting to be too long. So
no worries. No worries at all.
only 3 rows.
Don't worry about it. In the big scheme of things. Did you pick out colors again for another one today?
I picked out colors for a few. I picked up a lot of colors today.
Okay.
I had a fun couple hours in the shop.
Fantastic. All right. So, let's see. See you there? You're all muted. You there, Susan?
Yes, I'm here.
How did you make out?
I did really well. I'm actually started section 4 on
Excellent.
clue 2.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Excellent. So how are you keeping track of the rows?
Oh, I use one of these little counters,
Okay,
stitch counter.
I do too. Mine hangs on my work, so it's actually my round counter as well as my row, my start of the round and my row counter.
Oh, that's a good idea.
One. Yeah, I need one of those.
Just kind of, can you see it
And it dangles. Yeah,
Yeah, it dangles.
that's what those are.
Yeah. So they're great for counting sections. If you're doing any cable work and the cable one section might do repeats every 8 rows and another one might do repeats every 4 rows. Sometimes you just can keep track of what row you're on in each section.
It's much easier.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
So I guess we'll just jump right in here. So last week I made a reference to the fact that you could, I wasn't going to check everybody's beverage glass and see what they were drinking, but I have done all of Clue 2. It is not a drinking song.
Not a drinking song. Okay.
It's not.
What do we need?
I would recommend that you do all of these patterns in good lighting, not at night, and not after too much wine. Okay? If you follow with me, let's see, where's on page 3, pattern section 4.
Yeah, so I had a question about that.
Jump in.
So here it says like round 1, knit to end, round 2, knit to end, round 3, knit to end. But then on other places it's round 1, knit all stitches. And in another one it's rounds 1 through 3, knit all stitches.
Hey, it's
Is
written by
there
a
a
cat.
difference?
It's written by a cat.
Okay.
What do you expect?
Okay, so there's not really a difference between knit all stitches and knit to the end.
And a good
Okay.
tech editor, if they were reading this all in one section, they would pick up on the discrepancy
On
in
the difference.
terminology.
yeah.
But
Okay.
since this is coming out in pieces, she may have a different person tech editing it, and
Yeah.
they don't know what the convention was on the first part of it.
Okay.
No, but typically a pattern will use the same phraseology through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see on round 2, she gave you the hint that I gave you last week about slipping purlwise the first stitch to eliminate the jog. You got a heads up early on that one. Hopefully you haven't done this one yet, because I can make your life a lot easier. Although, Anne, I think you've hit on something there. It talks about placing markers after each one of these 11 stitch sections in round 5.
Mhm.
If I were you, on round 4, while you're just doing a plain old knit row,
Mm-hmm.
I would start putting markers in every 11th stitch.
Okay.
Because on the next row, you got enough to think about without worrying about putting markers in. And that way, as Anne found, she didn't have the right number when she got to the end. So you can make your adjustments on round 4 where it's a plain knit row,
Mm-hmm.
so that you'll be all set up to go into row 5. Does that make sense? It's just going to
Yes.
be a lot easier to know that you've got the right number of stitches before you start on this K22, KFB, KFB twice KFB, 5 SSK, SSK.
Oh my God. Oh,
So does
Yeah,
everybody know what those abbreviations stand for? Have you done them before?
no.
No.
And KFBF, but I watched it online.
Okay, yep, that's a good one. Yep, you can go do a good YouTube on it. It just means you're
Yeah.
knitting into the front of the stitch, and then you're moving your needle to the back leg of the stitch and knitting through there as well before you take the stitch off the needle. The tricky one with this is where she has the bold knit front, back, front.
Yeah.
So the knit 2 together eliminates 1 stitch. The knit 2 together eliminates 1 stitch. The knit front and back twice adds 2 stitches. The knit front, back, front adds
That's what I missed. Why isn't it?
It adds 4 or 3.
2 more. It adds 2 more.
Yeah.
And then the slip, slip knit takes one off, and the other slip, slip knit takes the other one off.
Oh, all right. I see what I did now.
So every time you do that, you'll still end up with 11 stitches on your needle.
Okay.
You're shaking your head. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I missed the KFB twice. I went right to the KFBF, and I was like, I'm losing 2, I'm gaining 2, but then I'm losing 2, and then I'm losing another 2 and gaining 2. So that's why I stopped. Okay.
Okay.
I missed the KFB twice.
Yep. Sometimes it's just working it out one little step at a time.
Yep.
So hopefully when you get around there, if you've got all your markers on, it's going to come out even. You're not going to have any problems. And then you're going to cut that color and go on to your next color. You're going to repeat that again. So what I would recommend strongly is that on round 1, with your new color, whether you're on the B, D, or C, count your stitches between the markers.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have the 11 that you're supposed to have between those markers.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that 11 between the markers, it means in that section, you might have either forgotten to do the slip, slip knits and left those as 4 individual stitches, or you may have done 3 knit front and backs and not done the knit front, back, front. So if you don't come out with 11, you need to just tink back those 11 stitches and do that again. So it's a sanity check that'll keep you right on the path. Let's see. So that was, I think, pretty much all the notes I had for ways to keep yourself on track and not getting so that you end up having to take out an entire row there
Thank you.
from committing hara-kiri. But certainly round 5 is a tongue twister. So
Yeah.
patient, just do one section at a time, focus on it. You guys will be fine. Now, section 5, the Wavy Codex. So you've been leaving those markers all the way in through that whole section 4. Now, when you go through round 1 of this section, you can remove all those markers except your starting marker.
So I put markers like every 20 because I find that if I get lost and wonder if I dropped a stitch or picked up a stitch, it's helpful. So I have been using 20 and then I switched down to 11.
Yeah,
I'll go back to 20 then because
that's a good way to do that.
I end up counting a lot more than I should.
It's all right. With patterns like this where the numbers are kind of changing and wiggling back and forth, that's not a bad habit. In section 5.
Like 55.
Yes. Round 7. Which is the first line of page 4. You'll notice it in bold, it says purl 2, slip 1 in back around the row. And the same thing in row 16.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all the other times you've been knitting and slipping, obviously if you're doing a knit stitch, your yarn is in the back. So it makes it natural to slip with the yarn in back. But now she's telling you to purl. But the yarn is in the front. So round 7, the trick is you have to remember to put the yarn to the back when you slip and move it back to purl. Now, I have a bold demonstration.
Love it.
So, can you see?
Yep.
I'm getting waved at out the window here. Okay, so this row was done with the yarn slipped in back.
Mhm.
You can see how it slides across the back of the work.
Okay.
So on row 7, purl row, I slipped it with the yarn in front. Just to show you, you can do it. It could be a secondary pattern. Sometimes it happens that you forget to move it. And so what you want to do when that happens is you are going to use your needle to pick up the yarn that should be in back and reposition it.
Okay.
Let me get on this side of it. So,
Up in the front.
yeah, so pretend I've worked those. So you can pick the yarn up, stick it over the needle, and then just slide that stitch off so it slips to the back. Okay.
Okay.
So
Those are awesome colors.
So you can pick up that bar that should be in the back, move it over the needle, and then just slip the stitch off, and that gets it to the back.
To the back.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is that okay? So yeah. So if you forget, if you miss, you'll see it when you're coming around the next time because you'll have a bar where a bar is not supposed to be. And you don't have to unpick the whole row or anything crazy like that. You can just flip it to the back when you get to it.
Okay.
Now, let me show you what happened to me. So this was my
Beautiful.
color A.
Mm-hmm.
This was my color B, which I thought looked lovely together and had lots and lots of contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, really hard to see anything.
Yep, you can't see a damn thing. I did all that work, did all those rows, and there is just not enough contrast between those, even though in the ball, side by side, they look like they have lots and lots and lots of contrast. So at the close of tonight's Zoom, I am ripping back to the beginning of that section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my color C, which I used in
There's
this
your yeah.
as my contrast. So if you're working a pattern, whether it be this section or any other section where you're working two colors, if those two colors are not driving, or if you're putting a lot of work and you're not seeing a whole lot of action out of it, don't be afraid to tweak the color pattern a little bit, just to make it work, because you want all that effort to show.
Mm-hmm.
So I was disappointed, but I left it in so I could show you how, even though on the balls, they look like there was a dark and a light.
They just
Got the pattern going, it was just too, because this is the kind of stitch definition you want in between all of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got homework. It's okay. Let's see, we talked about the fact that when you're doing those purl rows. Oh, here's one interesting thing I found. In section 5, round 6 is one of these slip rows, and round 7 is the purl slip row. So you have 2 slip rows consecutively.
Yeah.
Then you do 8 and 10, which is knit. Then you do round 11, which is a single slip row, not followed by a purl slip row. Then you do 3 more plain knit rounds, and then you do a knit slip row and a purl slip row.
I wonder why it's only that one.
I'm not sure either. I mean, it's okay, but I think since I have to tear that section out anyway, that I am going to make row 12 one of the purl 1, slip 1, purl 1 version, because I can't. What's happening is that the slipped stitch is because in the first
Right.
one you knit 2 and then you do the slip, and in the second one you knit 1 and do the slip, and in the final one you do a slip. Those slip things are moving around the whole piece. And so I think visually I would like to see them each section match. So that means I'm going to end up with 18 rounds on that one. You with me?
Yep.
Ann? Yes.
Yep.
So it's certainly your choice. I don't know why it's not a second repeat. And you know, if you want to do 2, 1, 2, so it looks like a thicker band of color and a thin band of color and a thicker band of trim. That'd be pretty too. I'm not disputing that. Okay. And then there's that crazy adjustment round. So that if you're working the decreases rounds, it says knit 51, make 1 right. So
Go get it.
Oh, yeah.
okay, so what that is it's actually an increase. So even though it says for those working decrease rounds, this row increases your stitch count by 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it's kind of wiggy there the way it says that, but that's what happens. And she fortunately gives you a stitch count at the end there so you can double check. Because it's going to be important to have those exact numbers when you jump into section 6, because section 6 is lace, and the repeat, it has to have just that right number on it to make the lace repeat work. That right?
Yep.
Okay. So I cheated when I did that. So I figured you're making 3 increases around that last knit row. 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So I just took a safety pin marker and I looked at what looked like 1/3 of the stitches on my needle and put a marker, and I looked at what I thought was a 2/3 point and put a safety pin there. And I just did those increases at those points. So I got my 3 increases in the round, and then I counted my stitches. So I didn't bother to count to 55. I don't want you to go too off the rails on me. So here's my read on section 6. It's a lace section, but if you did that slip, slip, knit knit two together, knit front back, slip, slip, knit part that was way back in section 4. If
Mhm.
you don't think you're a lace knitter, you're a lace knitter, because lace knitting is just knit two together, slip, slip knits, and yarn over. So have at it. Be brave. You can do it. So we've got my notes here. I'm so looking forward to taking it out and doing it again. We all do that, don't we?
Mhm.
All right. So in sections, some lace patterns are vertical patterns and set themselves up so you can do that marker thing where you're putting markers in and you're doing your repeats.
Mm.
You can keep track. Unfortunately, the tip in this is that once your pattern, number 3, once your pattern starts to form, you'll know that you made an error if your eyelets are not offset. So what she's telling you is this pattern is a spirally pattern.
Those,
So
yeah.
even if you put markers in, your pattern, when you repeat it the second time, isn't going to be where it's going to line up with the markers. The markers are not going to help you. So again, this is one of those, do it in good light, don't be drinking, and make sure that you start off with the number of stitches that they have in the end of the previous section. So either 156 or 168 stitches. And there really is not a whole lot of trickiness with this lace pattern once you get in the groove. It's yarn over, knit two together, knit two together, knit two. So once you've done a few of those, getting that going on 168 stitches, you'll be able to recite that and just keep on going around. And then you do get a rest row, a knit row in between. So that makes it a little bit easier. And then it says you're going to work that for a total of 3 times. And then what you're apt to miss is the fact that it says then work round 1 twice more. So they want you to finish that section with 2 plain knit rows. Excuse me. And that's so you get some stability before you get launched onto whatever comes with clue 3. And it's gonna fix the stitches, not fix them, but give you a solid finish to all that lace work where it's weaving. Let me see if, I don't know if you can see how much of that you can see.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, pretty.
Yeah.
that looks great.
Lace pattern. It is not tremendously complex, but it's kind of neat.
Mhm.
So that one should be fairly breezy. This one, if you've got color contrast going on, that's really going to be a fun one to do because you'll be able to see your work come alive.
Mhm.
And in the very first section you do today, I frankly thought it was a lot of work to get not much done. It's what's going to happen is when that gets blocked, that wave,
Yep.
she said, is going to show when it blocks. It's just the yarn is now wanting to hold it in place.
Yeah.
So anybody you've all printed out the pattern. You've all read through it.
Yep.
You're all, whoops, it says my internet connection is unstable. Oh, so's my mind. Oh my God. All right. Does anybody have questions about what's going on or where we need to be, or do you want to sit and knit together for a little while? Do you want me to rip out and you can watch me rip out?
No.
Any
Fun.
questions? Any questions?
No, I'm good.
No.
Is everybody still happy with their colors?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am, except for the way that section turned out, but tweaking it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know at least 3 people picked out yarns today for the knit along, so I'm sorry they didn't jump in on this one, but hopefully the gals at the shop were explaining them how to find the first clue video. So hopefully they'll go back and watch that one and watch this one. Andy, do you have any thoughts?
Nope, obviously I wasn't there, so I did see one online that ordered it, that bought the yarn, but I'll have to go back and see the other 2. I'll send out an invite to them. But
Okay,
I think that's probably what they're trying to do, is get through section 1 before they try to jump into section 2.
get overwhelmed. All right,
Yeah.
so hopefully we'll have a few more catch up.
Sounds good. And you know, you can always come into the shop for help. I have the girls watching the video so they can pick up the tidbits as well, so.
I hope these clues and tips are helpful to you to keep you from going in the quicksand and disappearing forever.
Oh, they're great. They're very helpful.
Yeah,
They're
thank you.
very
Thank you.
helpful. Yes.
Good. So, one thing I wanted to mention was, has anybody ever put in a lifeline?
No.
It is,
I tried and it's hard. Or I
okay,
had
okay. When you're doing lace, especially if it's a real complex lace, or a complex cable pattern, putting in a lifeline can save you. It can be the lifeline you need from having to rip out yards.
Do they all know what a lifeline is?
I was just gonna explain that.
Sorry, I'm gonna jump off.
Okay, now jump on, don't jump off too far. All right. I frankly like to use dental floss as a lifeline, because it doesn't get
Oh.
tangled with the yarn. It's easy to see. It
Yeah.
doesn't make, it doesn't take up space in your stitch. It's so
Mhm.
fine, but it's not gonna break on you. So, give me 1 second and I'll come and do a demo. Is that okay? You guys, okay if I leave?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dental floss. All right, I'm back. All right, so I like to use a bent tip needle because it's easy to get in the stitches. And it's really easy with dental floss to thread the eye of the needle. Okay, so, and I think I can even do this backwards here, so. So when you're putting the lifeline in, it's helpful if the stitches, just a little bit, if the stitches are on the coil part of your work. And you are just going to take the needle with the dental floss, get that out of the way. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? My needle fell off. Technical difficulties. All right, there we go. And you're just going to slip it through the stitches. Can you see? Let me get that at a good angle.
Mhm.
And then bring your dental floss through. So the floss is under there. And you're going to do that all the way around. And what that does is it gives you a point of demarcation where if you literally get so far off, you can't back up, you can't, if it falls off the needle, if the dog grabs it and runs out of the room with it, and you need to get back to home base, what you can do then is you've got your lifeline, you grab a needle. I always recommend a needle like size 1, skinny needle, to get the stitches back on if you have to work from a lifeline. But if you don't have one that skinny, just grab the skinniest needle you have. And you can
Jan,
just
your lifeline looks like it's missing some stitches from this point.
I
Can you
just-
hold still for
I-
a minute?
hold still. The dental floss is so thin, it's gone to the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it won't interfere when you knit the next row. It won't. If you use yarn as a lifeline, sometimes you end up, when you're knitting your next row, you knit the stitch that's on there and the piece that's your actual lifeline. By using a dental floss, it's obvious that's not part of the stitch and you can just ignore it. So that's what a lifeline is. You typically put that on when you've completed a knit row because it's way easier to slide that through the cable on a knit row. So maybe when you're doing this one on one of those, after you've completed one of those knit rows, you could just practice doing it to get that experience of putting in a lifeline, knowing maybe this time you really won't need it because it's a basic pattern, but it is a good thing to practice and to know how to do because everybody needs a lifeline. We all do, even if the lifeline's chocolate, but you need a lifeline. And sometimes, like if you were doing in the Cocoa Knit series or any kind of time when you're knitting a top-down sweater and you're taking stitches off and putting them aside, you can use dental floss as a threader to hold the stitches over there.
Okay.
It's just handy. It's strong. It's easy to see. It doesn't get in the way. It doesn't fray. Pick your favorite flavor.
So I did jump off to get my coffee. Did you mention using 2 lifelines?
No, I did not. Go ahead. You jump in on that one.
Okay, so when you use a lifeline and you finish the next section of your lace work or whatever, you want to use a new lifeline. Then you can take the bottom one out and use it the next time. So you're hopscotching the 2 up. But you don't want to have your lifeline in and pull it out and put it in somewhere else and then find that you have a mistake. So it's always better to have 2 lifelines going.
So after you've completed an entire repeat, so you know what row you're on when you thread that lifeline stitch back on your needles. So this is a good time to try it. Who knows, maybe some of the future patterns are going to have more complicated things that we're all going to need a lifeline. I wished I had put a lifeline in this, but I didn't because I didn't know I was going to go back, but I will. And I'll show you what it looks like next week. And you'll be able to see it much better.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for tonight?
I have one question.
Sure.
I have all these dangling threads. Do you weave them now or do you do them later?
I have not done mine yet, but that was on my thing to do tonight because as they get more and more and more of them, they start to get more and more in the way. And the sooner you secure them, the less apt you're gonna have to be to have one come out, come undone, get lost, whatever. You know,
Okay.
that's a nice meditative kind of job to do. I do it all at once.
Okay.
So, but if that's not your thing, it's okay. You can wait till the end.
Okay.
In
Okay.
some fancy Scandinavian mittens where they have lots of ends, they actually leave the ends on the outside and they braid them as part of the decoration. So there's another tip for you. Make it work for you. So, all right. So you're all, I'm launching you off.
Okay.
And
Okay.
if you have any questions, like Andy said, jump in the store. The girls are really good. They're excited about this one. They're excited about a lot of things in the store, that's for sure. But they're excited about this one. And
That's good.
I will see you next week with my reinvented Clue 2 and some tips on Clue 3.
Excellent.
Okay.
Good.
Good
Thank
work,
you so much for the clues. Yeah.
Thank you.
well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Have a good week.
All right. So how did you get in today, Janet?
Not the way I was supposed to, obviously. It's
Did
just
you actually log into Zoom as me
I did.
with the Craftworks thing? Okay.
I
I'm
did.
just concerned about where the recording's going to go. I don't know if the recording's going to go to your computer or my
Oh,
computer. So if it goes to your computer, are you around Tuesday morning?
yes, I can be.
Okay. All right. If it goes to your computer, I'll have Lori get a hold of you
Okay.
and transfer it back to us so it can come, we can load it up to the website.
All right. How will I know? It's mine says it's
I
recorded.
think when we get off, when we leave the meeting, it'll either tell you you need to save it or it will let me save it.
Okay. We'll
All right.
see. All right. And
Weaving class was good.
it was good. Yeah, we got through real quick because since it was a cowl and they had seen the project, I didn't have to go through showing them 20 scarves to see all that they could do. And they
Yeah.
had their yarn all picked out. Since there were only 2 of them and it was crisp this morning, we warped inside. And
Yep.
then 12 o'clock, we went outside. And we were done mostly by like 3:30. And then
Yep.
I went in and I helped Stacy wind some of the yarn for the gals that were joining the knit along.
Okay. Did you grab any check out of the drawer?
No,
Okay, I'll mail it
okay,
in the mail tomorrow.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
And then do we have any signups for Cocoa Knits yet?
I thought so. Let me.
Didn't know where to look at the shop, so they were busy.
They were pretty busy today.
Yeah, they had the do not enter sign out a couple of times.
Yeah, Cocoa Knits. Looks like we have one,
Well,
but
hopefully-
a Susan Quinlan. She actually registered back right before COVID,
okay,
and then we closed down. So we just transferred her. But I'm just sending out an email tonight with the different classes for October.
okay,
So we'll see if that drums up any more interest. And I think we have it posted on Facebook beginning of this week too.
okay, all right.
So,
So,
Yep.
all right, so obviously I need another lesson on how to get in. Once I'm here, I'm good
Good
though.
girl.
Really good.
Have a good one.
Uh,
Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.